500,000 women's lives are at risk as the UK cuts its foreign aid funds. That's according to an internal assessment by the Foreign and Commonwealth Development Office.
By the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office's own assessment, critical support to tackle malnutrition will not be delivered. Programs aimed at reaching those furthest behind, including women, girls and people with disabilities, will be cut. Hundreds of thousands more women, once again, face unsafe abortions. Thousands will die in pregnancy and childbirth. 500,000 women and children in Yemen will not receive health care. It may cause lasting damage to health systems in Yemen if other donors are unable to fund.
Well, the move will hinder the women receiving much needed access to essential health care, with the report concluding thousands of women may die during pregnancy or childbirth due to the cuts. The lack of funds will also prevent an adequate response to violence against women and girls in South Sudan and Somalia, and cause lasting damage to the healthcare system in Yemen, again, according to that internal study. Well, it all comes as the UN Food Programme suspended a malnutrition prevention programme for Yemen this month over a lack of funds. Now, that could potentially have a devastating effect on some 2.4 million Yemeni civilians who already suffer from severe malnutrition.
The largest food and nutrition crisis in history today persists. This year, 345 million people continue to be acutely food insecure, while hundreds of millions of people are at risk of worsening hunger.
Why do you believe that the funding is drying up this year?
Well, I think you would have to ask the donors that. But it's clear that the aid budgets, the humanitarian budgets, both in Europe and the United States, is not where they were in 21-22.
Well, the same donors, however, gladly pour their citizens' money into Ukraine, it should perhaps be remembered. According to data from the Kelly Institute, the US has sent $79 billion in financial and military aid to Kiev. The European Union followed Washington's suit. It's donated $59 billion worth. The UK, also one of Kiev's biggest sponsors, having sent $9 billion worth so far. Well, a former South African National Assembly member that we spoke to says Western countries are trying to grind African states into submission by taking away aid.
Move by the UK is the weaponization of aid in pursuance of imperialist interests. Basically, what the UK is doing with this potential withdrawal of such serious and needed aid is to send a message to the African countries which are pulling away from the West, as we see in countries like Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali, which are openly aligning with Russia. It shows the disregard for the African life by the global Western countries. And it also shows us that they are very concerned about the war in Ukraine, and in particular the fact that the Russian Federation has an upper hand. So they are shifting resources to the Ukraine at the disadvantage of the African people, therefore showing us whose life matters. Clearly, our lives as Africans don't matter. They believe that they must prop up the legitimate government of the Ukraine in a legitimate war against the Russian people. And ironically, at the same time as they withdraw this aid, the Russian Federation is writing off $23 billion worth of debt of the African people.